Hi, I'm Master Lukey, and I'm proud, I'm honored to bring to you a special interview, hopefully in an ongoing series, with David Jubb. He's about to call in. Little intro.
A fella last night, he came up with bartering. He says the way forward is bartering. And it's like the third or fourth time I heard that last night, mate.
I'd like to clean the Pacific up tomorrow, and I have a plan to do that. And you need something familiar as what is existing. You've got really economic egalitarianism, and that's a positive inductance, not negative economic inductance at the moment, which is usury, where money is being made from debt, which is irrational, not based upon anything which is an asset backedness, which it doesn't have to be gold and silver and all kinds of silliness dug up. It just has to be a sense of all which is a stable currency, period, and that what's put into circulation can be absorbed by people's product and service. And as a balance is existing in the bank, it slowly retires the old currency, and that new currency is the only currency which is made to be payable, legal tender to pay a debt for a government project in some ways, you see. And so
A path
money
of
is
least
spent,
resistance.
well, $751 billion could be given to Australia to clean up the Pacific. $751 billion can be given to Californians to canopy the land, and the only law really is that you're putting into circulation which could be absorbed by people's product and service.
Yeah, when I
Ooh. Now, I was talking to Jay Bird today, and he was telling me that Dr. Jubb has a plan. I think it was Dr. Jubb to put soil on the Pacific garbage heap and make islands. Is that a thing? Let's see. Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Okay. Whew. See, I don't know if this is a metaphor that Jay Bird was talking to me about. And he had the name for it. Dag. What is the name for it? Let's see. What caused it? Clean up. How is it being cleaned? Ocean's cleanup system consists of large floating net-like barrier 3 meters deep that forms a U shape which is slowly towed by 2 ships. Okay. Can it be cleaned? If you tried to clean up, it would take 67 ships 1 year to clean 1%. Oof, that's not enough. So, Dr. Jubb has a better plan. I'm not surprised. He is amazing. I never met anybody so intelligent and I do my best to imitate Dr. Jubb. Let's go back to the video. David Jubb PhD on YouTube. Okay. Now the negative economic inductance. I'm just a dumb jock, you know? But I think this is about how. I was just looking on, what was it, TikTok or Instagram? Might have been Instagram today. Somebody complaining, I work full time, my husband works overtime, and we still don't have enough money. So the negative in economic inductance is inflation. Is it like having a cup with a hole in it? The tendency of a conductor to oppose a change in the electric current flowing through it. So how does this relate to usury? Is it usury? I see. So the gears of the industry are running, and that's creating off, remainders, and people are skimming off the top. And then the positive economic inductance would be that money going back into the system. Okay. Reminds me of voting with your dollars. By the way, as you saw in the beginning, I am Life Food Certified. That's my website. That came with, Dr. Jubb's blessing and certification. And I only make food off this ingredients list. That's the Life Food Certified ingredients list. You could just go right to the homepage, lifefoodcertified.com. If you think there's something that should be on there that's not, or something that is on there that shouldn't be, feel free to call or text anytime. Right now, if you check my Instagram, I just put in a batch of pretzels made from sprouted seeds like buckwheat and pumpkin, as well as quinoa, chia, flax. There's also seaweed in there. I looked up a pretzel recipe and translated it. I do that. I translated that for a friend who likes pretzels. So we got Life Food pretzels. I also have other, recipes. But if there's a recipe that you want to get translated, like I said, hit me up 24/7. Let's see about a negative economic inductance while we wait for Dr. Jubb's call.
You're asking some really serious questions today, they were just very simple sort of things. But
Since I've been alive, most of the world's ills are pretty much the same today. How is a eclipse movement a solution to some of these ills? Not just for me, for each one of us.
eclipse can make a really big difference because no one should be underestimating the danger of a currency collapse. This is not just a local condition, but a global condition, and everybody around the earth should be more engaged and involved in this. And then the fact is that policies need to be created by all the banks around the earth, and they require government, informed consent to do that. And those policies are all policies of a currency and a dollar slide into martial law. So if you have eclipse, what I'm asking and what everybody's asking is stop. And it just basically really is, most everybody really understands that we need to have reform in banking. That's not something that anybody needs to be educated about, and that banking and that is the cause of wars, and usury is the cause of wars, and once and for all time the whole earth needs to get rid of usury. And I have a claim. I'm a man and not ABC Corps or anything like that. And what it is that I've observed is something which is everyone is subject to. Eclipse is asking for the whole earth to bring common law right now.
So refreshing. We the people. We the people. Reminds me of something I heard before. What can one person do? me personally, I stick to live food. I do cleansing, and I'm also becoming I guess distributor is the right word for Dr. Jubb's formulas, because I have a martial arts background. If you don't know, I practice the safest way, yet I still train and practice with people who, you know, are physical specimens, professional athletes themselves. And so I do the best I can to stick with this natural program. And you know, I've taken herbal supplements that are used for performance enhancement, things like Yohimbe and Tribulus. So what Dr. Jubb's done is put them in a living state. Not those two particular herbs, but he has a formula called anabolic steroid. I'm getting that. I'm also getting brain alternative, which is going to help because of the brain trauma that I got doing fighting. Mild, but still has had its effect. And so over the next however long it takes, however, you know, I mean, I'll keep updating. I'll keep the stream going, and you'll be able to see in real time my transformation. But when you click on the formulas here, oh boy, why is it not loading? Oh, there we go. I was worried about my Wi-Fi for a second. Okay. Live colloid's the other one that I recommend. So I try to keep it simple. You know, in sales, you want not a whole lot of choices, but eventually I could see carrying the full line. For this first promotional endeavor, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just waiting for my package to come, so if there's other things in there that Dr. Jubb's recommending, I'll definitely be promoting those, you know, using them and promoting them as well. So in the meantime, Life Colloid is, let's see, I do have some, let's see what I got here. I got a file, maybe it's in the downloads. I got a file about the, where is it? Oh, is it in my Google Drive? Let's see here. Let's see. Minimize this. Go to media. Okay, it's not in there. I bet you it's in my Google Drive. Let's go. Okay. Let's see. So this little black book, no. Oh boy, look at this mess. Mental health, body flora, metabolic neuropathy, here we go. Okay, now. Which one is it? Let's take a look here at the first one at the bottom. Okay, it's not this one. I know that just by looking at it. But it might be this one. life colloid. Boom. This is going in a new book. I edited the first part, which is called Correcting Metabolic Neuropathy. Okay. Whew. Intellectual and emotional deterioration. Headphones came out. Can be incurred early in life. Memory can be constructed. Internal dialogue, feeling looped, emotional shallowness, rapid mood swings is due to neural connections being incomplete. A metabolic neuropathy cannot be ruled out as an etiological factor in mood and cognitive function. Jubb's life colloid probiotic bioremediation inoculant has fusum fat within that allowed nutrients to be also absorbed through lacteal ducts of the intestine. Wow. Let's look up fusum. It's called blood of the earth. And that makes sense. I think did I spell it wrong? Is it fusum? I think what happens is, what does fusum mean? Spread out, broad, flowing. Okay. So I'm just gonna, use my brain and say that this type of fat is ubiquitous, meaning it can be turned into any tissue or anything that it needs to. The body just absorbs it easily. Bioavailability of organomineral complexes abound, and essential fatty acid and lipoic acid and flavone also. I'm going to edit this. Oh, okay. Life colloid amino acid is contributed that increases accident life colloid biological specific activity. Is this supposed to be resident? It makes sense. It increases the healthy bacteria. Chromoprotein, DNA and RNA, small organic acids become lipid complexed, there we go, and transported by the lymphatic system. Fusum has humate, including fulvate, complexed within a lipid. Life colloid probiotic health works as an energy current. It vitalizes the reproductive system. DBP containing histone and protoamine is a very small planar protein molecule, and this primitive protein sugar protein mineral complexes is easily absorbed, that it is in the fat of the life colloid called fusum. 1 second, be right back. Sorry about that. I just had to put something in the fridge. Okay. Where were we? Essential electrical carriers are brought in by the life colloid. Ubiquinone redox function is enhanced. The life colloid also has L-carnitine that vitalizes energy transduction. Alpha lipoic acid is present. Iron and copper complexes abound that are non-toxic. Life colloid present in the probiotic synthesizes glycine, arginine in the synthesis of guanine. Phosphocreatine is a powerful antifungal mold neoplastic assistant in correcting metabolic neuropathy. Both polyunsaturated fat and DBP protein complexes and humate fusum are an amazing rejuvenator. I've been taking the life colloid for probably 5 days in a row now. Today's the day off. Let's see if we can find a video on this. Oh, wow. Life colloid. I wonder who this is. Laceweb. A glimpse into the teeming flow of life that is possible in thriving soil. So these are below the level of a cell, these colloids. Life colloid. Probiotic. Okay, we gotta have to be specific here. Sorry. Here we go. Go with the first one.
Go. Thank you, Will Painter. That's really a great question. Minerals that are 9 atoms small or smaller than 9 atoms happen to not be diatomic metals that would ordinarily then be crystallized and become larger particles, but element which is in its 9 or smaller particle size doesn't crystallize, and it's more in its colloidal form, and humic and fulvic acid can complex that and makes that usable to fit into the machinery, but all minerals are excreted as a neutral salt, and our body is not composed of the mineral necessarily that we ingested, but certainly in biological transmutation, in a test tube, after a short period of time, there could be a lot more iron in there than there was before because of biological transmutation and this sort of thing. But we're closest to minerals through bacteria, and bacteria have to complex that mineral, and humics and fulvics are primary substances that are produced by lithophilic bacteria, which are rock-loving bacteria, and they eat rocks, and they snack on them, and they produce these acids which assist to help to complex that mineral so that nature can use this. Anyway, we'll hope this has assisted to help with this question. Oh, Will, and also, if you mix baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, with humics or fulvic acid, is it possible that some of that could become complex? Certainly. Anything which is in that product which is smaller than 9 atoms in its smallness, in its size, could become complex and be able then to be used. But with humics and fulvic acid, it can be sometimes the only way that it's possible to get something into a cell, because it can have quite a bit of calcium phosphate deposit on the outside of itself, and these humics and fulvics assist with an alkaline element to cause the dissolving of a lot of this calcium phosphate deposit in the body.
So the alkaline element dissolves the calcium phosphate. Interesting, because I'm doing a lot of baking soda lately, like teaspoons at a time. Whoops. That's so amazing how the bacteria actually is where we get our nutrition from. Bacteria gives us nutrition. Okay. Nutritional classification of bacteria, huh? The most important organ you've never heard of. How the food you eat affects your gut. How bacteria rule over your over your body. Bacterial nutrition. Okay. It says Dr. Jubb's calling, but why is it not? Oh, here we go. Hey, Dr. Jubb.
Hey, mate. Yeah. Is it a good 10 minutes? Are you still patching things in, are you? Or you live streaming?
Yeah. So, I'm gonna start I'm streaming already, but I'm gonna start recording anyway because yesterday the Wi-Fi conked out for some reason. So we'll at least have the audio just in case. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. So we're live right now. Is there anything that I could put up in the meantime, like for the background, before we get some good video? Or what would you love to talk about today? Is it the 4th?
Well, I was only going to just say that the whole world is sort of under a narrative, isn't it? And we always will be, and it's sort of the best narrative, really. That's all. And until some better narrative comes along, of course, which is what we have, we've got a solution that can clear up war in 24 hours. So little things, something small, and everything is about that more than anything else, really. It's the title, which I've been keep talking about, but I wonder if anybody knows what the meaning of title is, because your title as a species, it's called a hierarchical logical typing of information, and it's called a taxonomy. That means that you've got a subject which is an epistemology, and they have a hierarchy of logical typed information underneath that subject. And your identity somebody could really study that, because they say I or you all the time, but they have no idea who I or you is. And so that's what I've taught all my life, basically, since I learned this. It's called the Path of Holobones. But it's all about unity consciousness, and you really learn how to keep your focus on unity, and you keep your focus on the future in a beingness, simple, soft. You've got nothing about the past that is entertained, because you can't pass it on, and it's going to tarry nothing with tomorrow. Yesterday doesn't tarry nothing with tomorrow whatsoever. But you experience, where someone is in eye awareness is not anything that they sense. Yeah. When you know who I is not possible to sense anything. The body is, for sure, but I isn't. I can have a silent witnessing of things. So it's your development where you are, or anyone else's, to have a practice of having this stellar. If you know what stellar means, it means universe beyond universe, and that's I, and it's a very small space of no distance. We're a JC quanta, because it's a small pixelated dot in space, which all is connected, you see. So, but in I, and so before you were born or anyone else, I exists, and it's in a cloud bank of the ether of the living, in a JC quanta. And that I is a background, and it wasn't born or would never die, and it's eternal. And 50% of yourself as you go through life is from your source, which is, everything else that's is like a body in space, and it is your whole body. Like the moon and the sun are organs of yourself. And being already deep inside it, in the path of least resistance, you're really living more simply. Others could simply live, but it's the difference between people, but isn't separate at all, but distinction. But that distinction doesn't separate anybody either, because no one should be wandering around trying to find someone superior because they're coming from something inferior themselves. But on a level of, yours or mine or anyone's attitude they have inside, that could be very unique. Also, one's focus, in life, and so where I is empty, like empty space, and M is simply care or matter. And after that, this is absolute. You can be aware of what this is, but everything else is sort of something more fictional. But the title is man. That's our species. You see, woman is our species. You're not a drive whore. You see, that's not your species. And a natural right doesn't come from a drive whore. It does because you've got a real true name, and that's just, lowercase, and it's your family name and the name you're known, and it's one word because it describes a noun. You can't have two words to describe a noun. You could have two words to describe a pronoun, meaning not a noun. And so when somebody uses a word like I or you, most people are very clouded, and our ability to be functionally plastic inside in the brain, that requires sort of interest and pleasure. So somebody visits things, it's a new mindset. And so they practice sort of an outwardly meditation of being in a new mindset. Before the point of it, all that writing and all our work has a lot to do with that the body can feel all emotion as states, and that's excellent, not to be stuck somewhere, but every single emotion has some excellence. 7531. And that I is not the mind. Those are the things which we just talked about, which is the mind, and I isn't the mind. I can be aware of the mind, but the mind being empty, more in being. So otherwise everything else which is in the mind is sort of a state, but it's not being. It's sort of fictional. So this who is real is aware of perception, and this is someone living. And the living can't be put into a category of the dead. A dead meaning a fictional character, fictional sort of like a chair or a desk or piece of furniture, as should tell. And your account or anybody else's can't be where an issue is an account per se of itself, where you're living. And so where people have mixed up the living with what's fictional, this is called fascism in government. And the fourth estate is eye awareness. It's where you're simply a witness, more still, silent and transparent, and you're correcting the things which need to be corrected. Simple, that's all. And that is a chain of command where things are. Government is below, we're the people. And only government is because it's there to protect private property, period. Otherwise, there's no other reason for government. And so desire and fear where people are kind of driven them into all kinds of centers of the brain without they even ever thought about it. But if you look earnestly, take time, but somebody could come to clear away all desire and all fear, because those are things which just held everyone back, not from being able to be in the present, which is a void. It's something which you can't analyse. It's something you can't be going over the top of it. So you could be receptive, and the only way that you can do that is to be more empty in the moment. And so it's an outward-lived, onward-going meditation versus some moment somebody's turned something on or turned something off. But it's ongoing because it's skills which somebody develops in being able to have good people skills and have good ability to self-initiate and partner and team build. And none of it is you, the doer. This is something which what we're talking about is something natural, and that where error is in the world because of things which what we're talking about right now. Many beloved have like something sullying their vision, and so it's not so easy to pick a pattern out of a stereogram, for instance, where a younger brain can so easily do that. Older brains can't, because they're doing things in their brain, and the brain is no longer receptive like it could be, or should be. And so eye awareness more is an omnipresent state, and this is the fourth estate. This is above government, and this is what could change, stop, start, and has the power of seizure. And it's only pre-authorized and pre-ordered by government. And so, this is like an Article 4 or Article 3 court in the United States, and it's like a King's Bench in the other Commonwealth countries and things. And it's a process which one would look into, and it's really a beautiful process because it's the only process which is sovereign, because nobody there has got any conflicted interests whatsoever. And so it's just four of these, as one of the people show the error where something is, and so that something becomes a true bill. Before that, it's just sort of a presentment. You're looking to see what can exist. And there's different types of common law, court of record, trial jury, grand jury process. Another one would be like an indictment, which is a true bill it starts with. It's a charge. And so wrongfully, you could see that most people are placing subject, object, verb, not in the proper order per se. And most don't know what the subject is or what the objectiveness is about it, or the verb. But the more that you're practicing what really is excellent in somebody could be educating you more about syntax itself, how you communicate with other people, and your or anyone's ability to be able to use modal operators, a possibility, like a wonder, maybe we should or could, and questions which who really is about it. It hasn't been discovered, you see. And so what's objective, where somebody doesn't know who is or I, it's very entertaining, basic. And so obviously really me and mine, where anybody is, it's like a name, me and mine, and a name, and it's a mind thing. Where would design fear be really if it wasn't for a mind thing itself? And so no thing has remained more in awareness because you only have emptiness in your center point and care, simple. And then transient, a transient perception doesn't exist. You've got more fact. And so I is more inside, and yet it's beyond perception and sensation like we're talking about. It's an awareness of that perception or sensation, not the sensation or perception itself. And so restless waters, you could say, really is related to only a wrongful reflection, sullied by what somebody's got within their eyes. That's all to do with the desires that they have not looked at. Take some earnestness to actually look at all of it, to drop it away. And the same with all the unreasonable fears and things. And so not forgetting is a real mental state. And so when you've got like brain alterative, when you've got some anabolic steroid, when you've got life hydrate, which is N-acetylgalactic acid, you've got these substances, it assists you to have the easier ability to be able to forget, you see. And most people, where something happens, you know, they'll do something 10,000 times themselves in their head, and they have to forgive themselves, not somebody else out there. But not forgetting was really a mental state, and it's a state of excellence where somebody has the ability to be able to forget. But if you've got a precognitive, which most everybody does, of course, long before you think about something is precognitive in the way that you're going to be able to think about something. But and so, you know, what's precognitive as well as continue to be successive, more reframing the past, and that's what it is where you go back, where somebody sort of talks about the past, so reframing whatever it was about the past, but it doesn't pass for any event itself and can't. And it's transient perception, which is no fact, and alternating memory, ongoing, and experience only, which is an internal chatter, like somebody's got some string behind them, and that's their identity, which really isn't identity at all. And so you and I, we really allowed to have been fully more receptive. We could have been able to have grown up this way as a child more. And then you can have a village and you can have a great nation. And now really is the moment where a void really is, and who's seeking agreement, you see, immediate with the adversary. So a wise woman or man always is seeking agreement with their adversary immediately, and are really good with that, versus people are creating adversarial positions and they don't seek agreement. And in the world, you can tell straight away if somebody's unity conscious because they focus on seeking agreement straight away versus, no, we've got a condition, we've got a meat grinder, we're going to let this go on. But that's not our common sense or common practice with each other. And to have a jubilation, which is one way that we all come together. The other way is by just recognising that we have a bit of a common fate with each other. But it's really no such thing really as not knowing, because no cause was where anybody only was forgetting. You'd have to have something that you would have had to have forgotten. That must be something you know. So what's the art of forgetting? Forgetting really is excellent when you've got proper serotonin levels and things. The brain alterative and the anabolic steroid and the life hydrate and the digest aid, these are very things which help produce substances which gives you great capacity to be able to forget. And so forgetting really is excellent. And when somebody is really good at that, they're forgetting the things that they should forget. And it presupposes some knowing, of course, because you can't just forget. It's some prior knowing. And from the ground where excellence is, one can have forgotten to remember. And there's a lot of things that people should forget to remember, honest. And the state really of being beyond the memory and forgetting. See, so this I is really beyond memory and it's beyond forgetting. It doesn't have anything to do much with memory or forgetting. And it's above wakefulness, above dreaming, and above deep sleep. And this is the fourth estate, you see. And this is what is coming to be activated, because this is really what government is about. And but in the world where you can see corporations mixed in with the living, and not anybody having a proper ID as a real true ID, that's the title of you as a woman, not some occupation or something in your head, like a human. That's a condition in your head. An office in the government, like a son of a purr, that's in your head. These are selected things which is to do with a fiction, but not your title. Your title is man or woman, and natural right flows from this, and that's the thing that should be in a document. But when it's not, it's sort of fraudulent. Things going on that's quite fraudulent, and those are things which should be corrected and fixed up. And so, to have any right, you only can have that because you've got title. But where title doesn't exist on a piece of paper, and the verb is doesn't either, and from doesn't. So where's the cause and effect there? It's very weak. It's all mostly all the words and everything that people speaking is coming a lot more from fiction itself. And who's set up a multi national state that owns and has more money even than a single nation, runs and owns C.B. Carroll, which is a criminal banking cartel of a one world order, and it's controlled opposition. And it is the opposition where things are. So, there's no transparency and no proper opposition per se to any of that. And chaos is just chaos, and order cannot come out of chaos. Chaos is chaos. What's non-random, like what we're talking about, is coming out of something very random, of course. But where those people that control us have been behind in the history, assassination of presidents and people and innocent, and you can see wherever like there's a tragedy going on in the world, you'll always see thousands of children also present. And one would say that these are people who's not innocent. My God, how does somebody get off that somebody would say they are and somebody else isn't or something? It's an includedness of a multiple condition of genocide and murder that's gone on under a kill box of a legal name for it and common law trespass, merely. And the EU, many opponents to this Zionistic sort of program which has been running at the moment, sort of many of those people sort of have been knocked off in the past. Lots of leaders of nations that were just really didn't care too much about this Zionistic propaganda and things, just got put by the wayside more or less. And the picture is huge. No one needs to see it ever bigger more. It's really like where somebody is in the largest open-air imprisonment, on the planet, and they've got millions just forced to be able to have left their home, and they would apparently go to some approved shelter. But what's with the life and where things are, and it's very significant, of course, because you've got a number of House representatives always, and there's so much conflict of interest. And how can you manage anything when you've got all this double oath taking and dual citizenship and what have you? It's really not a picture that it's about a religious organisation that everybody's up against, especially all the massive amounts of equipment. But is it a greater state as an overall plan? And to do that, very other nations have to be sort of dealt with as well in the plan. On we go where people are, you can see bedded together where something is, and the world gets kind of split and divided. And so it's a divided and conqueredness, isn't it, where something is, and that's not a proper program at all, can be stopped. The pen is mightier than the sword, and everybody is under an agentic state. And it's only a matter that somebody can correct the proper contractedness for things to be proper, which isn't, and it's sort of like a check and balance over the proper government more, so which is the government. And so that's the enemy, is really where the people haven't performed our proper civic duty, when we can stand by and see crimes like Rwanda that went on, and 750,000 people just sort of genocided over a short period of time. And it's because people apparently, messages go out there that everybody's being pledged perhaps to die for the state of some other foreign nation. I mean, 1948, of course, where you're looking at Israel, for instance, and it gets its independence from Palestine, more or less. But the whole thing was set up as a take and a grab itself, and it never was not a prison refugee camp. How can anybody say that they're not actually Palestinian in their own being, where things are? And it's surreal, really, where we're witnessing the state and Palestine and families, and where's the media in all of it? I mean, I can think back to Cambodia myself and Pol Pot and the killing fields and things, and how the media was complicit to allow that to be. And you can see in studies, forensically, that that's so. And you've got a monopolised media under CB Cower genociding all, and it's so that you've got trillions of missing dollars and nobody gives a what, which we do, and auditing the Pentagon has just lost lots of dollars. So it's where anything is, it's sort of trillions of cubic feet of oil and gas, and that's just off the coastline where something is, and it's a land grab by multinational, like I said, and it's just beyond what an individual person could have. And so liberty really is where we're all equal, not where something else is going on. But where energy really reserves is really actual, and you've got a lot of polarized narrative behind everything. You've got all this 9/11 type of stuff going on, don't you? Like 10/7 as well. And so it's a searching for tunnels and Hamas, which was set up by the same people. And finally, everybody knew in 2005 under Al Schiffer there was tunnels and stuff and more command centers back then, and that was IDF done. And now when they look and say, well, nothing was there apparently, but the hospital was bombed. And there's just too much contradictedness in all things. How can you have proper governance when you don't have proper transparency, you see, and you've got a monopolised media? And I think most of the world is sort of really waking up to all of this. But if the UN is run by CB Carroll, which it is, and allows the act of war, which went on like the Nord Stream pipe, which just got sabotaged and things, and nothing was ever investigated about it. It's like they didn't want to do that, you see, nor did they give a crap a bit about getting on where Rwanda was, and the genocide went. And so we stand by and look and see, but how weak really is it that the UN cannot have any relation proper, and none of these alphabet soup land can, but you and I can, you see, yes, as we're the people. And so that's what you want to stick with. There you go.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jubb. Can I ask you about the fourth estate as a state of being? Is it something that, is it natural that I can... Is it something I'm going to be learning about, or is it something that comes about as, living more naturally?
Well, a mechanism exists for you or I to use that causes orderliness and gives you to be able to be in your full totality, where somebody's got rapport with another group, they're going to be able to perform things. And you and I, we can do things better where we have rapport, and we're really good at pacing and leading. Where listening is where anyone is. Lots of skill level exists, like what we're talking about, which is a meditation in eye awareness. Eye awareness really is an outward, onward, lived, sitting, living, walking meditation. It's not something that you go somewhere and you turn it on. This is really not a good instruction. That last one. It's better that you've got something that's going to be, that you're focused, and like a lot of people could be focused on, some icon on their screen that they look for and things, and that somebody's modelling excellence, and their meditation is they're looking for excellence where they are and finding people that's like this and modelling things. this is really a proper meditation. It's really onward, outward, and it's picking up everything. And you're learning 30 things a day. That's a proper meditation. But somebody's not really learning anything in the day. That's not going to be too much of any good meditation at all. Why shouldn't we really be striving to be more unified in ourselves? And so you're integrated, you're congruent, you're associated more, and you're bringing things more into your first attention. And nature's going to help you if you even have a little bit of this. The fourth estate is got an orderliness to itself. So, we're silent witnessing this is what a grand jury does. This is what all of us do. It's from time wornness of our patterns that comes to be time worn successfully, and these are things which can't be broken. So, for instance, you can't put the living and then tell everybody that they are fictional and dead, and they're only going to be chattel in a court. That's absolutely sinful and ridiculous. It's wrong. It's irrational. It's illogical. Nor can you have a system which is Ponzi schemed out and is pyramidal like to the hilt, and someone is get paid out, but most people are going to get just sucked from everything they have, and it only can continue on because it requires war to annihilate people to continue on with the system itself, which is an ancient system of pledging, which is really completely wrong. How can anybody have any sovereignty or any control over their own selves where you've got a condition which something is outside and it's not set up proper, you see? So one would have to learn about that, but there's very things which you could see that, for instance, if $9,557 or something was owed last year for just vaccine, and that's every taxpayer owes that, and that was what was spent just for that. It's like, but did you care for that? And did you get the received amount of monies in your life for that? And how much energy was that worth in relation to everything else you did? And where is it now? Was it an asset? Or was it not an asset? Was it just money that 2% of people didn't take anything in the big poof Pfizer, and it's all been designed to collapse anyway, because it's not to make a profit or anything, but they sure did. Everybody cleaned up, and then it will be just bottomed out because the big poof Pfizer has been set up just to be broken because everybody can see that the material is toxin and things, you see. It's not ecological. And so everybody be compensated, and you republic the debt, you see. So this, what we're talking about, is the fourth estate. The fourth estate is, do you know what's above your own control of yourself, which is government, and this is the ether, and something is natural. And the more that we've been focused on actually doing what it is that's natural, simple, we're living simply and others can simply live. You don't have a third-party interloper anymore in your life. You see? Yeah. So being eye-aware, that's part of it all. All the government and governance itself, the chain of command that exists, which is from the people down to the government. Yes, that's the chain of command. Yeah. So it's a great area, and it's about plasma and the orderliness, more of plasma, and fifth dimensional structure like a father or someone who's alpha omega, because you've got the full deck, you've gone the full distance, you can see what the final strike is, sort of thing, and everything in a set. And so from alpha to omega, it's sort of really the alpha omega more within ourselves. Yes, and so this is really instruction for all of us to get busy and to help clear up things that we can. And it's so easy. The pen is mightier than the sword, and it only takes 26 of us, more or less. That's all. And so it's what should take place. You see, yes, and this is what's going to happen. It's happening. Yeah.
I really feel hopeful after we speak. I can't help but what is it? Relate to my ongoing experience, and I think of like the sins that I've committed. But I'm hopeful, you know, when I get these products that you're sending me, the brain alterative,
Well,
and
yeah, the brain
yeah,
alterative is amazing because serotonin, gastrin secretin, acetylcholine esterase, dopamine, serotonin, all of these neurotransmitters are so vital, and you need substance to help create those. And then you've got DNA and templated on silica, and it assists to help the body to produce these neurotransmitters. So it's sort of not something that somebody has to take all the time, but it triggers and gives you the enzymatic feedback loop to be able to create those things yourself. And in the meantime, it really does give you a great capacity to really be basically more in unity consciousness. And so all of a sudden, you know, like your heart is caught up guiding your tongue more and things. And then you realise, like you were saying, that all behaviours, no matter good or bad, it's not you, which that's true, it isn't. You see, so it's only a mind thing, like you were saying. But the more that somebody realises they're not a mind thing, they're not a mental set, a mind, state, a state of mind. No, you're not a state of mind. Being in eye awareness is stellar space itself as 50% of yourself. The other 50% is just simply care and matter. And that means am. And so those are things which is certain. Everything else really isn't certain. After that, there wasn't anything else to have to know too much. And a lot of stuff gets dropped. And so you don't have to have knowing to have awareness, you see. Lots of people have so much knowing, but none of it could bring to awareness. And many people are just running around showing and going to a show, but there's nothing memorable about it because there's really nothing that's interesting very much and pleasurable. If something's interesting and pleasurable, it's going to be more memorable. Yeah. So these are things, Lukey, which is really about the fourth estate.
thank you so much, Dr. Jubb. We have a couple of comments. Grady Matt says hello, and you changed his life.
Oh, I'm so glad that something that's within someone that take a board, it's like a stick, but it could burn all the other sticks, you see. But all should have good, good news and be the bearer more of good news because something exists which is a solution to the things where we are, and that's positive economic inductance, not negative economic inductance, and debt continuous. When your lips move, it should be really about a real reset, and that reset is about your rights and about title and natural rights which flow from this, and having an equity interest and government and eye awareness is we the people, which is above government. Yes.
Paris says happy day, happy face.
Oh, right. We've got some great people in Australia, and they're really doing their great work that relates to the fourth estate. And we've got people in Canada also interested. Of course, we've got people in New York that are setting themselves up and underway where things are. This is like a mission. When you're in a rainbow warrior, you don't drop your mission and you never leave anybody behind. And yeah, exactly. See, yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, totally. I can feel great energy from people who are big, good, solid, and so I think it's pretty amazing because, I think I remember when I met you, you were so excited by anything that was a bit conflicted, And I think that's amazing, honest, because you knew you weren't anything that was conflicted. I think that's really good. But anyway, courage, most people could have more courage, couldn't they? Yes. And bravery and big courage. Yes. Anyway, yeah. Amazing, mate. Well, anyway, we'll call in as we go, eh? And love to do a bit of live stream with you, and love to say good happy day to everybody. Anyway, love you, mate. We'll catch up to each other later. Love you, mate. Okay, bye, mate. Yeah, mate. Love you, mate. Bye, bye, mate.